Hello everyone, welcome back. Ready for another chess puzzle.
Always up for a good challenge. Let's see what we've got.
All right, today's puzzle, it's a bit of a tricky one.
Sounds interesting.
Okay, so white, pawn on b4.
Okay, got it. Pawn on a3, pawn on d3,
e3 and d3.
pawn on e3,
e3, okay.
bishop on b2, pawn on c2.
Bishop b2, pawn c2. All right, white's looking pretty solid there.
Knight on d2, king on e2.
Knight on d2. Okay, king on e2.
All right, pawn on g2, pawn on h2, rook on a1, rook on e1.
Okay, so rooks are on a1 and e1.
Got it. All right,
Okay, now for black, rook on b8, rook on f8, king on g8.
Rook b8, rook f8, king g8.
Pawn on d7, bishop on d7, bishop on g7.
Pawn c7, bishop d7, and another bishop on g7. Two bishops for black.
Pawn on d6, pawn on h6.
e6 and h6.
Pawn on a5, pawn on e5.
On i5 and e5.
Pawn on g5.
And finally, a pawn on g5. All right. Got the whole board visualized. What are we thinking here?
Yeah, so it's black's turn to move.
Yeah.
What jumps out at you?
Well, first thing I notice is white's king looks a little cramped, don't you think? Not many escape squares there.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Black's got that pawn chain advancing on the king side, too.
Right. And, controlling those diagonals is key in chess.
It's how you create those threats.
Exactly. I mean, think about some of the great attacking players, Morphy, Tal, Kasparov. They dominated those key diagonals, often using their bishops, putting so much pressure on the opponent's position.
And black does have a bishop that stands out here.
Oh, yeah. That one on d7, it's in a prime spot. If black could maneuver that.
Say to g4.
There you go. That's the move. Black bishop d7 to g4 immediately creates a threat.
On the g2 pawn.
Exactly. Now, it's not checkmate yet.
But it forces white's hand.
Definitely. It sets off this whole sequence of moves, and black comes out with a real advantage.
So the answer is black bishop d7 to g4.
Then white knight d2 to f3, they're forced to block that attack on the g2 pawn.
Okay, so then black plays pawn e5 to e4.
Which forces white to take with their bishop, bishop b2 to g7. Looks like white might be getting some counterplay, but
there's more to it.
Always look closely. Black plays pawn e4 to f3, offering a pawn sacrifice.
And white can't resist taking that, right? So pawn g2 to f3.
And that's when black's bishop swoops in, bishop g4 to f3.
Attacking the king.
Exactly. White's king has to scramble to d2, and then black's king just marches over to g7, supporting a potential attack down that a-file.
Wow, that bishop on f3 is a real problem for white.
It ties up their pieces, creates all sorts of weaknesses in their position, a real menace.
There you go.
Thank you for listening.